We're back, Sammy. We're back. Sorry, y'all. It's been a little bit of time again. Due to those whole kind of personal situations that's been happening lately, we had to take a little bit longer of a hiatus, a sabbatical, if you will. So sorry you guys went out with your daily week of Arcane Archive. Educational cringe and entertainment. We know that you guys are no doubt absolutely starved for it, and so that's why we're back here today again. Sammy, what are we doing today for the peeps?
Well, we're reading stories.
Oh, we're here for some more
Specifically, I
stories.
believe we're doing another episode of Cautionary Chronicles.
Cautionary Chronicles! Oh, yeah, we know that you guys love it. We love it. Honestly, it's absolutely delightful. And we've got quite the all-star lineup, if I do say so myself, for today. So many, like, particularly just funny, well-written, just drawn out stories. I say drawn out, but not really. A few of them are actually pretty short, but you know us. We love to wax poetic and pontificate endlessly is kind of a staple of us here at the Arcane Archive. I mean, as scholars, we have a particular proclivity for such things. It's part of our nature and part of our charm, where we love to just kind of talk endlessly and infinitely about whatever interests us. But that being the case, before we get started, as always, again, if you guys are coming back with us here, thank you so much for coming back and return. Be sure to like and comment down below, right down there. I think somewhere here, based off of where we are, because normally, like, even though when we record these things, we're stacked on top of each other, but then, like, when editing it, we become like side by side. So
Oh,
it's
I'm
like
side by side on my end.
Oh, are you? For me, it's like stacked up. Like we're like stacked on top of each other. Maybe I'll have to find a way to maybe switch and change that up at one point. But for now, we'll keep it as it is. But again, yeah, be sure to like and comment down below, hit that notification bell, so you never miss any of the new content that we're pulling out. Again, we have been working on some new things as well. Like we're looking to try and start some of the other stuff going in here. Some nice, fresh new content. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get access to all of that stuff too, if you'd like. We'd love to have you guys here. It's always super fun and awesome, and we're looking forward to kind of the future and evolving as we are, as a group and as a channel. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate that. And with that being said, let's not procrastinate any longer, Sammy. Shall we get into this? The first story that we have for you guys today here at the Arcane Archive is titled "I Hate Wild Magic. I hate wild magic. I hate wild magic. I really hate wild magic," by Tuku Fox. Spoiler alert, I don't really hate wild magic. What I do hate, however, is GM's homebrew wild magic tables and settings that turn every caster into a wild mage. So, I'll keep the party composition short, but the dungeons are all in this magic weirdification aria or something. Every time anyone casts a spell, there is a roughly 50% chance of it going wildly haywire. Like bonkers haywire. Like, we're talking, I took 160 points of damage from the side effects of two spells, a level 5 and a level 2, neither of which were even pointed at me. At this point, I've basically resolved to not even bother attacking again, ever. My actions do not matter. The actual spells being cast do not matter. No player action or intention matters. The wild magic table is the only thing that matters here. It is the wild magic table's world, and we just live in it. We've had like one major combat that wasn't immediately decided by random magic one way or another. Now, I thought the designers of this module must be absolutely insane. But in short, none of this nonsense is actually in the module. I checked after this last time. Luckily, next time we've been given an opportunity to just turn off that effect. And I'm hoping we get to do it, because once that happens, I'm hoping that we get to do some actual major combat shit. Being tactical, being strategic, being cooperative, working together, the actual things that combat normally entails. But you know what? We shall fucking see, I guess. TLDR, your wacky homebrew wild magic tables suck. Actually, stop using them. End post. So, right off the bat, Sammy, what do you think of? To start, let's just ask, what do you think about wild magic in general? And I think we all know the answer to this, but please.
I mean, I love wild magic.
Hmm.
I don't here. Let me preface. I don't like it when wild magic gets abused at a table where either you literally don't it doesn't come into play at all, or it's the only thing coming into play. Um, Similar to like a warlock patron relationship, if it's not present at all, what's the point in playing the class? But then if every time I wake up it's something, I can't have a single normal day.
Yeah, you can't cast a
Like,
single spell without something like going crazy and chaotic. Just
yeah, like, it's hard because the class itself, it depends on the randomness of it. It makes it more fun, but like it's also like if that's all every time I, do anything ever, I'm just unreliable. Like, how am I alive?
yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, like I think for home, especially for the homebrew type of thing. Like, here's the thing. I would definitely say back in the old, 2014 edition, where the original like Wild Magic Sorcerer or even like Wild Magic Barbarian, they kind of sucked overall. And in regards to like,
Hmm,
Barbarians sucked mechanically wise, like their powers and abilities weren't
not
that great.
they weren't that great,
The
but all of them were positive.
Yeah, like yeah, it's true, but they just weren't that great. Wild Magic Sorcerer was a huge toss up. Like it was like again, because so much of their wild magic would have been detrimental to them and as well as their party was one of the like wild magic sorcerer along with like the wand of wonder, which is basically just a wand of wild magic, were like among some of like the top 10 reasons for party wiping. I remember back in the day, like people did a census. Literally, one of the biggest causes of like a TPK was any kind of wild magic stuff back in the day. I think with the new 5.5 2024, like they've definitely toned back on some of the more detrimental shit that can occur and happen. And
Yeah.
so they've become much more, I think, viable to
I also don't
play.
think people actually used the rules when it came to wild magic very often.
Possibly.
Because but in both editions, there's only one difference. And it's that in the old edition,
It was a
the
nat
DM
one,
chose,
right?
the
Yeah, the
DM
GM
chose, and it had
chose.
to be a nat one.
Yep.
Now it's a nat 20
Yep.
and you
And
choose.
you choose. Yeah.
So, I mean, and they've also changed the surges. The surges, a lot of them are, I think,
I was gonna
more
say,
positive,
yeah, they're
but
definitely more positive now in the revamped edition.
here's what I'm gonna say. If I'm gonna play Wild Magic Sorcerer, I'm rolling every fucking turn,
I
man.
mean, I like I said, yeah,
Even if it's bad, I'm rolling every fucking turn.
commit to
I'm
the
like,
bits, as they say. You know what I mean?
and if
If you
you
accidentally
know,
turn yourself or your compadres into plants for an hour, hey, that's just a luck of the roll, baby.
yeah, fuck it.
That's Hollywood, baby. uh,
Because there's really not any
because
super bad
they even got
ones.
rid of Fireball, didn't they? Like the Fireball
You
one.
can cast it, just not it's not on yourself.
Yeah, so it's like you don't necessarily just
No,
explode.
I'm just gonna. It's gonna be every time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because why the hell not? That's a literal integral part of your class. It's in the
Yeah,
name itself,
and or I'll only do it at the worst times. But the reality is,
as you
like
do,
it's
as you do.
not unfair anymore. It's just a
You
little
have much
more.
more control over it. And to be fair, even in the old edition, the whole point of it was like you started out in a very like wild, chaotic, uncontrolled kind of state, and then as you leveled up and progressed, you began to gain more control over like your wild magic. It became, you could start to dictate more and decide the rules and things. You had like more options and things like So I understood what they were going for, but it just wasn't viable in most games for real. Like again, unless you did have maybe a more positive wild magic table. Because I know for a fact a lot of people, because I actually play with wild magic in a campaign before as well, and it wasn't terrible. Like there was actually because the thing was like, it wasn't just us that were affected by it. It was literally everybody. It was all the enemies too. And we actually got lucky enough to have some pretty decent moments and changes when wild magic did occur. Um and so, but I will say I also have been in a game where we've had wild magic occur often because somebody had the Wand of Wonder and it was
Yeah.
really bad. It did not go well at all. Um, and I will say for this, like, I absolutely agree. Like, a lot of people do also love the whole homebrew wild magic table where they get to make their own shit, where they're just like, yeah, all of this stuff happens. And
I
unless
mean,
you're gonna
I
make it more predominantly positive, like if you're gonna make it all
not.
negative repercussions, it's
I mean,
like
I'm not mad at maybe having some negative effects on
no,
there, but
I'm
like,
not either. But it's like
but
every
if
time
you're
you cast a
if
spell,
you're gonna
like
do it, then I need you to go by the rules of the rolling, because the amount of times you're actually gonna roll a natural 20 or a natural one.
yeah, especially
And
depending on who you are. On top of
well,
that, like
sure, Adam, probability it doesn't exist for you.
uh,
But the
it
reality
it
is
really
like,
doesn't.
so there's gonna unless you're using a loaded dice or they're cheating, they're not gonna roll it that often. Which is why if you're playing online, especially, I prefer to use the digital dice, even though sometimes it feels like they roll against you pretty heavily.
They
At the
do.
end of the
They
day,
really
yeah,
hate my fucking guts.
they don't. They're okay with me. I roll pretty middle of the road to positive most of the time,
I'm only like
unless I
super
really need
highs or
to.
crushing lows is what
Yeah,
I've got.
that's
Like
it's probability over a long period of time. It's probably not as bad as you think it is. You're just remembering the short term.
I'm really not. I'm not
No,
really not because
I
it's
mean, like, it's a
consistent.
computer,
Don't get me
Adam. It's
wrong.
not
I've had some really to be fair, I've had some really
Adam.
great roles in
It's
most
a
current
computer. It's
campaign,
not.
but
There's no curse on
hey,
you.
computers can be hacked, my friend.
Okay,
There's
yeah, because
it's
someone's hacking your dice rolls.
yeah, they could
They
be.
they they pay
They
attention
could
to
be.
your D&D schedule,
Absolutely.
and they because
It's a
they don't know you.
conspiracy, Sammy. I know it. I know it is. It's
It's not.
collusion.
It's
It's
collusion.
collusion.
It's the fucking Russians again, and
It's
they've come
always
for my
the
dice rolls.
Russians.
But
They know
yeah,
I'm too powerful. That's what it
I
is.
just I love because I love the idea of wild magic. I also love the idea of more items that can give wild magic to other people. Because that would be hilarious. I love the idea of a curse on a wizard, because wizards are very, like, very intentional in their spell casting.
Yep, they
Very
are
like
very
they're
meticulous.
like
They are very,
because you can make the idea that a sorcerer
precise.
half the time a sorcerer is casting a spell, they might not actually know exactly what spell they're casting. They just know what they want to happen over there,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's 100%. It's just from their
From
force of
that's
will and desire.
some people, they don't like that version of magic. They like to know that everyone who casts magic has some sort of knowledge of the magic they're casting, and that's
Mm.
fine. But I love a warlock or a sorcerer or maybe even a bard, depending, to not necessarily understand magic in the same sense that a wizard, or I think the divine casters, because the divine casters, I think, have a different feeling about the magic than
Oh yeah,
charisma
no,
casters.
it's
Because
usually much more like bequeathed to them by
or
like their,
there is some
their
sort of studying to
connection.
it. I think there is a ritualistic studying in
There can be, yes, you're right.
clerics, paladins, and
Yeah.
druids that you do not get in sorcerer, warlock, bard.
Yes,
I
agreed.
don't I don't think there is. So I could, everyone can have their own opinion. But what I love would be a character that is a wizard who has a cursed fucking spell book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that every so often it's like, oh, oh,
Yep,
oh,
the magic does some weird,
like
strange shit.
like
Like,
imagine how fucking frustrating that would be, if you're playing a, like, very
yep,
booksy kind of
very
straightforward,
know-it-all, very,
like,
very snooty, very
not
arrogant,
even snooty,
but
just very sure of themselves wizard,
yeah, no, just someone who
as
knows it's very by the book. They're just
yeah,
very,
very
by
logical.
intention, logical. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a science to them. It's very science
I
and
think
it's very just
that could
like,
be a very cool story. Like,
yeah,
maybe they're cursed by the god
I
of
agree.
magic.
I agree.
But yeah, um, I like that kind of thing. Of, like, wild magic as a concept is extremely awesome. The
100%. I agree. I'm not mad
if
at that at all. It's a
as
great
sad as this
aspect.
sounds, it does need structure, which
Yes,
is
yes, yes.
completely, but
Well,
outside the
because
realm
it
of
is
what
a
wild
game. It is
magic.
a
Yeah,
game. So the game itself,
again,
it is a
it's
made-up game, but it
it's the
has to
reason
have
I'm.
structure to be a game.
We've talked about this. The reason I'm a rules lawyer is because I can't have fun unless I know how things work. I have to. Like it's not fun to me if it's just fucking arbitrary because then we're just talking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
Um,
again, there is an absolute point. I think it's okay to have a little bit more free form and be flexible, of course. But there absolutely is a point where, like, and we've talked about this before, where it can devolve into, if you don't have enough structure, it just devolves into a playground, 6-year-old battle of like, I create my invincible shield that blocks everything. Well, I have a gun that it shoots through anything. Well, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does.
if you have
And
a
it's
bunch of people
just
you
like,
trust who creatively you can meld yourselves together and make something beautiful, that's fine. I mean, that's how stories are written. Um, and actually, the funny thing is, a lot of D&D lore and some of the powers and abilities of these like godlike beings are outside those rules.
it's true. And they're
And
deliberately designed that way. They're
and it's supposed to
intended
be
that
like that,
way. It is intended.
because if you go to your DM and I'm like, why can the gods just do that, but I can't learn that magic? Yeah, no shit,
Yeah,
Sherlock.
they are. You literally just said it. It was in your sentence. The
Now,
gods.
if that's like abused too much in a game, you can cause problems to the point where you're
True.
just like,
And
well,
especially if you do it for bad
then
reasons.
why am I even like I'm fighting for an existence that evidently doesn't matter?
Yeah, or
And if
that the
you want
gods could
that,
just
well,
fix.
if you don't want that, play a Dark Sun campaign. If you don't want to play a Dark Sun campaign, I
Or
don't
do
know,
Dragonlance. Dragonlance too.
Dragonlance, Dark Sun, Eberron,
Yeah.
all things where
Gods are
the
not
wants the
particularly
wants of the humanoid races and monstrous ones kind of have quelled up to some sort of advancement, or the gods are gone.
yeah, they're just not
It's one or the
particularly
other.
involved at
Either
all.
humanoids have moved themselves up closer, or the gods have fucked off.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but like a little bit of that's great. That's what makes it fantasy. That's what makes it,
Yeah.
different. But yeah, also I'd love to know why. Um,
I get that, like Sammy said, I think we're all in agreement here. Like this, like, I mean, even the OP literally says they don't really hate wild magic. You know what I mean? Because again, like Sam said, wild magic as a concept is just fucking awesome.
fucking metal. If you
It's
think about
just
it.
badass. It's just super. Because again, it's not just that, but it's literally just the unmitigated, unaltered, unprocessed, just raw power of
It's
imagination,
the
right?
fucking weave, baby.
It's just the weave, and the whole point of the weave is the whole point of arcane magic is your imagination is kind of the limit, right? You can just start structuring and restructuring the fabric of reality to do what you want it to do. And
I
the
mean,
fact that
hell,
wild magic just happens. It's just
we have all
crazy.
those spells in D&D lore named after
Yeah.
people who created them. Like people
Yes.
did this. They
Yeah.
fucked up
They
and then they were
they
like, "Wait a
they
minute."
weaved, they literally took the weave and they like molded it and they compressed it and they shifted it to create something a little
I
bit
was
different, a
I
little
was
bit new.
molded by the
I
weave.
was molded by the weave. You you were
You
molded by the
simply you
weave, but
simply
I
lived
was
in the
born in
weave.
it.
Yeah,
Yes, wizard, you might be a wizard who
you sim
studied and was molded by it, but I'm a sorcerer. I was born in the
yeah,
weave.
you merely touched the weave. I was molded by it,
I
born
fucked the
into it.
weave.
I
I
fucked the
fucked
weave.
the weave.
Or some would say the weave
Or
fucked me
some the
with the
weaves.
story. The
Honestly, it's hard to
stories.
say. I think it was a bit of both. I fucked it and fucked me. It was a kind of a give and take kind of scenario there, you know?
The weave may have turned
All
me
I
up one
know
too
is there
many
was a lot of
times.
there was a lot of fucking going on
And it
with the
was
weave.
me and the weave.
Yeah.
We were the only ones there.
I'm a Chad now.
I think
I've
this is.
been
I think I
chatted by
know.
the weave.
I think I know what I'm gonna do in the inevitable Eberron campaign.
You gotta make a sorcerer.
I'm gonna bring back the melee dwarf sorcerer, and he's gonna get fucked by the weave.
There you go. And he's gonna fuck the weave too,
He's gonna fuck the
So
weave too.
who knows? Who knows, man? It's a lot of things.
He's a switch hitter.
I'm 100%. I'm gonna use this line from my sorcerer in our game tonight too. I think is what I'm gonna try and find some time to be like, oh yes, you study the weave. Well,
I
I
fucked
fucked
it.
it.
Some would say fucked it up, but we don't talk to those people.
Yeah, it's fine. It's trauma bonding. You grow from it. It's okay.
Some would say the weave never worked quite the same after I was done with it. But
Okay, let's
we
move
can move
on.
on. You can't give me that avenue, Adam. I'm sorry. I'll keep going forever. But
Hey, me too, man. Me
we
too.
have
We
a
love
we have
bits
an,
here.
we
But
have
that's all
another
we have
short, funny one.
we have to say about this one, y'all. Let's move on to the next story of the day. Take it away, Sammy.
I have next up another short story. Schrodinger's DMPCs by Keeper Forever or Eva.
Forever, keeper
Eva.
forever, for
Um,
Eva.
recent threads
Keeper
about
for Eva.
DMPCs reminded me of this gem.
Oh
A few
boy.
years back, I got invited to play with a new group through a mutual friend. The DM was super excited about their world building, and it looked super interesting. They'd put a ton of effort into the world, lore, history, etc., with a huge Google Doc outlining
We
everything.
love those
They encouraged
detail.
the players to develop intricate backstories involving the setting, and I was all in for that. I built a character with deep ties to a lot of knives. I don't,
And was super stoked
I'm
to
gonna say
play.
lives, and super stoked to play. Session one, the world gets destroyed, and we escape on a spaceship because surprise, we're playing Spelljammer.
Wait.
Uh,
Holy shit. No, wait, hang on.
yeah. No, it's all gone.
No.
Nope,
I had a horrible, just like
a nightmare.
visceral flat, not flashback. That brought up like that was again, I told you before, right, Sammy, about the cringe campaign.
Yeah,
This exact same thing happened.
yeah. This is why I wanted to read it for you.
This is the exact same thing that happened to us.
I love
What are we doing?
I love Spelljammer. When I asked why they gave us the deep setting and backstories, the DM said they
Whoa.
wanted the destruction of the world to feel real. Okay, deep respect for the commitment to the bit, but I was kind of excited to play the game as advertised.
Yeah, yeah.
Session 2 is when the struggle became real. We met the crew of the Spelljammer ship, each of them way cooler, edgier, and higher level than our characters.
Of course they were. Of
The
course they were.
DM asked each of us to pick a crew member to play since there were too many of them to manage on their own. Yeah, the
Wow.
session was mostly us role playing the DM's characters through the DM's space novella. At the end of the session, we pushed back on playing DMPCs, but the DM countered that they were not DMPCs since technically we were playing the
Ooh,
characters.
look at that. That legal loophole right there, slipping
If
it in.
if it walks like a
It's, uh,
DMPC and quacks like a DMPC, it might just be a DMPC.
it was a gotcha moment where he like tipped up his, he was like, well, actually,
I gave it one more session.
technically,
Oh no. I gave it one more session, then dipped halfway through when the DM tried to ERP with my character and the ship captain. But it's part of their backstories. Nope, I'm out. I heard from my friend that the game lasted two more sessions before dying out due to lack of interest from the players. Frustrating thing is, the original game sounded super fun and
yeah,
interesting, but what I
mhm,
got was not what I signed up
yep.
for.
Oh my God, that's Keeper forever, for Eva, however you pronounce that. I feel you on this one, my friend. That's like
And
I'm
I
not even
love
kidding. I was going through some visceral flashbacks right
I,
there because that was like,
I love the top comment here. It's quoting, but I was kind of excited to play the game as advertised. This is why making these sudden surprises in RPGs are not a good idea. They might work in books or TV, but not in games. Players build characters and build up expectations based on what the DM tells them. It can often ruin a game when the DM pulls the rug out from under them like this. A lot of DMs, when they get some experience under their belt, try to experiment with something different. This will often try something like this without having the experience or wisdom to know why it's a bad idea. As far as the ERP goes, you never introduce it into your campaign without telling the players first, and you never begin it with a player and their character without their explicit and enthusiastic permission. I like that. Your DM throwing it at you and then trying to push it on you by saying it's part of their backstory is a
is a
form of
cause.
coercion. It's
Yeah,
a form of coercion.
it's a cause. Yeah.
Put on top of that when the DM did the big switch, you all became secondary characters in your own campaign. That DM is a bad DM. Yes, it's one of those things. Like
Honestly,
again, if you want to
ugh.
throw a rug pull, a big setting change into a campaign, one, I think there's two ways of doing this. You have to be one extremely experienced in doing something like this, in making sure that while the world changes, agency doesn't, and the players still feel like they have a breadth of choices. Because, like, you know, I don't hate the idea of like you play a game for like 10 sessions, and it's a run of the mill fucking fancy adventure. You're going to the bar, you're going to a job board, you're killing goblins and fucking hookers or whatever you do in a normal fucking adventure. I don't know. D&D is weird now.
You're not wrong. It was always weird, Sam. Let's be
And
honest.
like
It was always weird.
doing the normal stuff, getting fucked up at a party, having drinking games, all the things that D&D
All
can
the
offer.
glorious, yeah, all
Yeah,
the glorious
get in a
regalings.
fight pit, rob a bank, I don't know. Start a gambling
Sky's the
ring.
limit, babe, you
Sky's the
know?
yeah, or spend 4 sessions mining in a cave and then
Yeah,
hiring someone to create stuff for your party. It doesn't
yeah,
matter what you do. It doesn't matter what
yeah.
you like. Start a small shop in the corner of a little town. Whatever your group wants to
Whatever
get up to.
floats your
And
boat, buddy.
I don't mind if, 3 months goes by and the DM might have left little clues here and there that nobody picked up on because we're too busy decorating our
Yeah,
shack.
you open up a new taxidermy shop that you
Yeah,
guys are super
you
down
know,
for and
like
interested in for whatever
and
reason, you know?
and then all of a sudden you wake up, on Durin's Day 4 weeks later, and it's 8 o'clock and the sun's not up yet.
Yep. Or
You go outside and you light your fantasy cigarette and you look up at the sun and it's red.
yeah, it's
And
red. The sky is
the sky
burning.
is blacking around it
Yeah.
and ash starts to fall. And you realize that yeah, no, Vampire Lord took over the whole
Yep,
country
yep. He created the
and
blood moon, and
he
now
created
there's
the
an
Blood Moon.
endless night, and now vampires
But
are gonna
here's the thing,
start,
right? Your characters are not being targeted by this monstrosity, which means life regularly goes on as normal, especially in your corner of the woods. Aside from the occasional vampire spawn or
yeah.
goblin
Or
or
vampire raid,
but like
requesting a blood tithe or
but this
whatever,
isn't but this
nothing too
isn't
huge.
it's nothing. It's not like fucking Lord Vampire douchebag himself is coming down there and killing all of you.
It's
No,
true.
it's just it's the low level
Yeah, it's little
dumbasses.
grunts. It's the little grunts and the
It's
henchmen,
humans who
the
are working for the
thugs.
vampires. They're not
Yeah,
even
it's the
like
thugs.
vampires yet. That would be a cool switch up, right? Um, obviously if you check with your group beforehand, I'm like, hey, are things like these monsters okay? Are is that kind of stuff cool? That's a great way to
I mean,
do
that's all.
that
Yeah,
and
that's all
not
like session zero too.
and
Like
guess what?
figuring out everybody's.
You're not offending anyone. You're not forcing them to do anything, right? Because fuck, it's a taxidermy shop. People are still gonna, maybe
Yeah,
people still
and it's
want
an
that.
exotic taxidermy
Fuck,
shop at
maybe you
that.
run a bar. People are definitely still gonna want to drink.
Yeah, I mean,
And
so than more, even maybe like more so than before.
a big switch up, like a big switch up when your characters have, I think, a real mark on the world around them. I think of the first Vox Machina campaign with Critical Role
With the
where
Chroma
with the
Conclave.
Chrome Conclave, where the dragons took
Hmm.
over all the major cities, and it was like this big war effort, and basically like a refugee camp they created.
Oh yeah,
Like that
it
is
was
something you can
masterfully
do.
done, but he
You
did it.
can do that later in a
Yeah,
campaign.
he did that later on after they were
Once
already established.
once the characters are established, the players themselves are established in their characters in the world, have connections, and instead of and the thing that would happen that I loved is that yes, the world changed, but
It wasn't gone. It wasn't
they
just
didn't just
gone.
they didn't just murder all of their friends.
They had legitimate connection and
And
incentive.
those people were still around, maybe not in the
Yeah,
same place they were
exactly. They
originally.
were scattered. They were hurt.
It's
But they
okay
were.
to have some people die.
Yeah, it's
But
fine. But there's also something to be said about having the players and the characters in that state of unknown, right? But then
yeah,
also giving them that reward for like, yeah, your friend, some of your friends are still alive.
it's
But
very risky
it gives them though the incentive and that emotional attachment to
to
want to
solve
be
it.
active,
Yeah.
and that's why, for instance, let me tell you from personal experience, destroying an entire fucking planet doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't work because not only that, you're gonna drop them off wherever. Oh, you're Spelljammer now, or oh, did as the GM in that other campaign that I was part of did. Oh, we're just gonna take you to an alternate universe, or Earth or planet or whatever, and Toral or whatever, and drop you down there.
What in the DC Comics bullshit is this?
And now you're just there now, and you don't have any actual connections or anything. It's just like okay, that's there there is no emotional attachment at that.
No.
You just destroyed any and all personal connection, attachment, engagement. Like at that point, you start to wonder, like, the players get to a state of just like, why should I care about anything then? Like if you are so quick and so freely able to just obliterate entire planets' realities, I that gives me no reason to care about anything. It gives me no reason to attach or connect to anything because you'll just be willy-nilly free and perfectly okay with just doing whatever, just snatching it up. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not compelling. That's not interesting. It's not immersive at all. You completely shatter immersion with that. It's just ridiculous. And it's a terrible idea. Like Sam said, having a bit of a like world shattering, and I mean this metaphorically, not literally, world shattering metaphorically, world shattering moment where the world as you know it, or your concept or idea of it, changes kind of drastically. Like Sam said with Critical Role, that was a perfect example of that. Where how, again, you maybe at some point in time you've built up a bit of reputation, you have these relationships and connections, and boom, some incredibly powerful force comes in and completely changes the world as you know it. It's not destroyed, it's not actually shattered, it's not whatever. It's just there's a huge event took place that was scary, harmful, detrimental, or whatever, just intense for you and your players and your fellow characters and everything, like that is great, amazing storytelling. I think nobody I don't think anyone would ever deny or disagree that the Chroma Conclave I think is probably the single greatest like moment or setup in Critical Role history. I think still it's definitely in the top three. And for me, I think it's number one. Campaign one, I still say it's probably still my favorite in regards to everything that happened and
It's definitely mine.
um, that the players, the characters, all of it, the storyline, all of it. I liked that particular like narrative and style that they did in campaign one the best. I didn't like campaign two a lot, and I didn't know, hot take. A lot of people absolutely love and adore the Mighty Nine, and they absolutely have some great things, but I wasn't a huge fan of campaign two. Campaign three again was pretty decent and okay. I fell off with it though. I have not finished it. Like I fell off pretty hard on campaign three where I was just like, yeah, things are just taking way too damn long to really like I'm like I
I
can't.
still haven't finished campaign two, so
Wow, that's yeah, no. It's
yeah, I don't watch D&D stuff anymore. When I
I still do, but I've actually been getting into another channel called Narrative Declaration is one that I really love a lot. And they don't play D&D. They play like Pathfinder and Warhammer and shit. So I'm like, I just like their narrative style, like literally they're called narrative declaration for God's sake. But their character work, interaction, and narrative style, I've liked a lot. But yeah, for stuff like this, like it's just you gotta consider your players first and foremost. You know what I mean? You got to be able to actually give them something to still care about and connect to on some level. If you want to make it a Space Jammer campaign, then you got make it a Space Jammer campaign out the gate. Don't just make it like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this thing here and then snatch. Like, don't lie to your players, okay? Like, don't lie to them about the type of game that you're trying to play, right? Like, you can absolutely do some gotcha moments, some rug pull moments and all of that other stuff or whatever. But you got to be honest about the type of game that you're trying to play up front. And then once you establish more, yes, hit them with some life altering moments or changes here or there, but that's what actually gives those moments weight and legitimacy because you earned it. You earned that. You can't just fucking blow their planet up on session one and be like, "Oh, I got you guys. All right, now let's go ahead and do this real thing I planned." Like, no, that's terrible writing. It's terrible GMing. It's just not the way to go. Okay.
no,
Uh,
they're not gonna have a connection to it. So
No,
and
it's
especially
not gonna mean anything. It's not gonna
for
mean anything
fucks
except for the fact it was just annoying and stupid.
for me too, like especially like stop making. Why the fuck would you make your players play characters you designed?
That's just again, the whole point is players want to play characters they made. That's
Like
stupid.
unless it was one of those things where you know everyone's playing pre-written characters and it's not
Sure, it can be that too. If your players are like new, if they're noobs and they don't necessarily like it's really daunting or intense for them to try to do their own thing. Yeah, you can make some pre-written characters. That's fine. Or if they're like dropping in and out kind of a bit, that's fine too. But overall, let players play their goddamn characters. Okay, I've said it before. I will say it a million times forever. The only thing in the world that the GM has absolutely no control over, really, are the players' characters. The players' characters are literally the avatars of the players, right? The GM is the over god of this world. All the players are like visiting gods to this world, and the players' characters are their avatars. They have control over their characters. You cannot control their characters and do whatever the hell you want with them. And especially, again, here's the thing. I don't even mind there being DM NPCs. I know a lot of people have like strong feelings on that. DM NPCs, I think, can be a great addition if you need them, but they cannot be the focus. They are not the focus. They're support, strictly support. And you can even, and I'll even give this GM credit, at least in regards to this, if you do have GM NPCs to maybe help balance out the party, especially if you have like maybe a either like a small number party of players or like your players don't have like a lot of diversity or variety of like classes, throw an NPC in there to help balance it out a little bit. But give them control over it, right? Ask if any players would like to maybe control a separate another character, because that also then, excuse me, that also then gives them the opportunity to try something different too, right? Gives them a little bit more diversity, a little bit more variety and flavor instead of just their own character. And if they're interested in that, then give it to them, and that's fine. But don't make your own characters, make them the star of the show as DM NPCs, and then try to pretend like giving those to your players doesn't make you a selfish bitch. Like, come on now. Like, let's just be real here. Fuck that shit. All right, but I'd say with that, I think that's all we got to say about Schrodinger's DM NPCs. Let's move on to the next story of the day, shall we? This one is titled Baldur's Gate Backstories and Metagaming by Interesting Buyer 285. This one's interesting because it's a little bit different. It's actually, as the story shows you, about Baldur's Gate 3. I recently started playing Baldur's Gate 3 with a group of friends who have never played before. One of my good friends, who I'll call Ranger, was super excited and posted a bunch of messages to the group chat about his planned build and backstory. I shrugged that off as a bit odd, as it's not like you can really pick a backstory because it's a video game. But whatever. He's also not familiar with the game or the setting itself, so it's not like he knows any of the relevant lore. Regardless, we set up the time to play and we all look forward to our first session. I expected it would be slow going as they figured out the controls and game mechanics and delved into the story. That was indeed the case, which I was fine with, but unfortunately things got much worse once the party reached the Druid settlement. I allowed the other players to initiate all the dialogues as they had never played before. They stumbled through long discussions about which dialogue options would best suit their backstories. Meanwhile, I had gone through these dialogues many times in the past, so my rogue would go off, to either loot or shop while they conversed with the NPCs. After an hour or so passed for them to initiate all the main quest dialogues, we had a bit more freedom to explore the surroundings. As a more experienced player, I suggested there were a few side quests and encounters that we should initiate. And when I suggested specific places to go or things to do, the ranger started accusing me of metagaming. He explained that we should only be using the knowledge our characters have, and he didn't want me to spoil anything for him. The rest of the party seemed to agree, so I essentially just shut my mouth entirely. The other players in the party decided to delve into a nearby dungeon. I quietly tagged along with them and allowed them to spearhead the exploration. Soon enough, we leveled up to level 3 and we all selected our subclasses. Now, some of the other players had asked me questions about subclasses, so I kindly obliged and explained the pros and the cons. Feeling like I could openly talk again, I asked the ranger what subclass he had chosen, to which he replied, "You wouldn't know that. I thought we agreed to no metagaming. I am not going to tell anyone until it makes sense for my backstory." I rolled my eyes and shut up again, but fully realized that this was never going to work. We soon reached the final encounter in the dungeon, which was a battle with some undead. As the other players all grouped together and initiated the encounter, my character snuck off to an advantageous location. The rest of the party was trapped in a corner getting rushed by undead while my rogue was picking off undead with sneak attacks. After the battle and right before the session ended, Ranger again accused me of metagaming and that my character must have magical foresight to know about these undead. I told the party that this gameplay style was not for me and I was here to play a fun video game with friends, but apparently they wanted to play a D&D session. I also made a point of saying that making backstories is silly. The writers already created the lore and players just interact with it. I wish them luck on their campaign and with the figuring out of their backstories. TLDR, I played Baldur's Gate 3 with a group of friends who apparently wanted to turn it into a tabletop experience with backstories. As an experienced player, I was accused of metagaming because I didn't stick to my character's in-game knowledge. End post. So, right off the bat, what do you think about this story, buddy?
Um, so I will say this, and like if you're actually playing Baldur's Gate for the first time and you're playing it with people who haven't played it before, but you have, I think it's better to just let people do what they're gonna do and not say anything.
Yeah, which I think, OP did say that he was playing kind of a back seat to a lot of the, story beats and everything.
It's there's a limit to it though. Like if
Yeah.
like there aren't that many
Well,
dialogue choices. It's usually one of
well,
three or one of four per
true.
dialogue choice.
This is true.
Only
Yeah.
one person is talking at a time.
Hmm.
So pick the choice and move on.
And I
It's
mean
not
that,
that hard to role play quickly.
yeah. And I
Um
mean not just
Now
that
here's what I
too.
will say. Maybe don't go off looting random shit and shopping without them all the time. And but like I get it, it's hard, especially if you played the game before. Because I played a couple multiplayer games with people who haven't played, and it's like I can't help it. I know what the
Hmm.
best way to do this is.
Yeah.
At the same time,
If it's brand new to them, you also
you
do
gotta
want to
give them
have
some
that
stuff, but
you want to have that genuine experience. You know what I mean? Like
I think there's a limit.
I think there's a middle ground here. Like here's the thing, right? Right off the bat, how I feel about this is like I feel like kind of there's arguments to both sides, right? 100%, like you said, like in regards to like, if somebody else haven't played a game or seen something before, and they're the types that don't want to know ahead, they're the types that want to just experience it as naturally or organically as whatever. There's like, yeah, at that point, like, yeah, don't spoil it for them if they care about that, if they want to be able to just kind of whatever, like, yeah, let them figure out and go through things at their own personal pace and to experience it. And that's fine, And I do think like, yeah, there is a certain amount of like, I think it comes down to just personal play style, right? But one thing I will say for certain is that this is a video game. It's not the TTRPG. These things are distinctly different, as well as kind of how you should approach them. Like you can have backstories, you can have your own kind of internal thing or whatever, but that doesn't have anything to do with the game. I'm sorry to tell you, it doesn't. Like that doesn't like you can absolutely play the game like a role play kind of manner, which is fun. I can see that as being really fun. Where you literally like you role play your character like in the game. You can have commentary. I've seen gaming channels and stuff do. That's awesome. I'm a fan of that. I like that a lot. It's very creative and imaginative. But at the same token, you kind of also got to get on, the same page then as people. If they want to do it in a more immersive, like role play kind of style, that's great. But if you have somebody who's, played through the game before, has seen all the things and like wants to be able to get through the game well and have fun, if they have fun with quote unquote metagaming, because here's the issue too, is there's only so far you can go with the whole immersive role play kind of thing, depending on how you want to do it, right? Because if you get TPK'd in an encounter, you're just gonna what are you gonna do? Are you gonna not play those characters ever again? Are you gonna delete that save game? You're not gonna reload the save, come back, and attempt the encounter again? Like, are you gonna play in honor mode? Is that what you're gonna do? If you play in honor mode, yeah, then you wouldn't have to worry about that. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like you like the point, the video game, the issue being is that yes, the video game has very distinct limitations in regards to your ability to make it, like a TTRPG kind of thing. Because so many of the mechanics are going to be limited to what the developers programmed into the game. That's just how it is. There is a distinct
Yeah,
difference.
it's
And so it's
it's
like,
not a D&D game. I think
it's
like
not.
it
It's
is.
it's
It
it's not
is.
TT. It's not a TTRPG.
It's not.
Is
It's a
what it's not
video
a
game.
tabletop. It's a VG RPG.
Hmm.
Okay? There is a difference. And then you have to kind of acknowledge that. Because it's like, yeah, like what are you gonna do if you guys die? You're gonna just reset, You're gonna reset the thing. And it's much more likely, and it's also another reason why, I think OP went to a more advantageous position because as a video game, it's also much more likely for you to die than it would be in a TTRPG. Like unless your
Yeah.
GM is just kind of an asshole and fucks with you. TTRPGs are kind of deliberately designed, at least D&D is. There are plenty of RPGs that are not. But D&D 5e, 5.5, 2024 is deliberately designed for your characters to be pretty goddamn hard to kill. You are very powerful in these games, even at lower levels now. Like again, 5.5 made sure of that. They gave a lot of buffs to a lot of classes. Um, but you are meant to be powerful and difficult to kill, so long as your GM is a good GM. Um, in a video game, it's not as much. A video game is designed to be deliberately more challenging, exactly because it's not the same kind of consequences. You can just reload the save to try again and again and until you succeed or do something else or whatever. So you can't really treat it's not the same kind of rules of engagement. You know what I mean? You can keep pretending, you can keep role playing if that's what you want to do, but you also have to I think what this is just simply a simple matter of differing play styles. Because don't get me wrong, I also am the type I like to get everything in a game. Like I'm a bit of a completionist in a sense where I like to explore everywhere. I like to try and find all the hidden secret cool shit that you can get or find. I like to succeed at the game, right? I like to get the best possible scenarios to get the most benefits, but also to unlock the most content, right? If you fail certain content, you don't necessarily if you fail certain roles or certain checks, you don't get access to all the full dialogue or content or thing. Like I like to be thorough. I'm not ashamed to admit it either. Like I'm a save scummer. I like save scumming too, just to see the different maybe outcomes of certain dialogue options and see which one I like the best. You know what I mean? Like I'm very thorough like that. I like to take my time. And I'm not above, trying to get into position to be strategic at certain moments and stuff if it offers it. But I can also see the other side too, where it's like, hey, we something's going on. You're kind of breaking the just the natural progression of things by deliberately like getting into a position that's advantageous for you, even though if you would have played through the game initially, like just blindly, you probably wouldn't know that this was an actual ambush spot. You know what I mean? Like, I do get that. I'm not a huge fan of that either. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it being like based off the fact that you know from prior experience, oh, this is the spot. So you disperse your party, right? You don't have them walking together like you normally would. You have one character walk up into that area where maybe it like initiates the dialogue. And because your other characters aren't part of it, they can just while the dialogue is happening, time is paused, right? You basically you're ganking the system at that point. So you can position your people while your one character is frozen in time in a dialogue. So you position the rest of your people around to be able to get the jump on them if you want to. Like that's I'm not a huge fan of that either because yeah, I do feel like that's a little bit disingenuous. It's not quite, the most genuine way to play the game, but I also get it, because if you also want to just kind of get through an encounter quickly, that maybe isn't that big of a deal or not that relevant. I'm also fine with that too. Where it's like, yeah, you know what? Screw this. Let's just fucking bombard them. Let's just gank it. Let's go. Because there's a lot of game in Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is a massive fucking game. And for someone like me who does like to try to experience as much, if not everything that they possibly can, I'm totally open also to just kind of ganking and get some shortcuts here or there just to make the game go by quicker because it's a lot. It's a lot. But I think this is just a simple, this story here I don't think there's any like right or wrong. I don't think there's anybody was the asshole here, right? I don't think anybody was like an asshole necessarily. I think it was just, differing play styles or desires, and that's kind of all it was. um, what do you think, bud? Like,
No, I mean you said it right. Like I teach their own in terms of the games, but like it's tough because there's so much to do in Baldur's Gate. Like you can't just be like, no, you can't do anything without me. You can't talk to anyone. You can't, it's just not realistic for that to be like the real way to do it. I mean, you can if you're playing with people who have never played before, I think let them run things the way you want them to, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's not being like, no, you can't. No, no, no.
I
Like,
mean, that's the thing. Like again, saying, well, you can't do that, or I'm not gonna tell you my class, my subclass, because you literally tell your subclass in TTRPGs too. That doesn't make any sense. You literally tell other people, like, yeah, I took this subclass. Like that's something you just do. Like it's not like there's no reason not to. There's like because you also can still strategically plan with each other based off of as a party what you can do and what you can then expect your players or your fellow characters to be able to do too. Like it's like that's just natural. I think Ranger took it a bit far, and I think OP maybe took it a bit far in other ways too. But again, like it's a long goddamn game. So I don't, like I said, I'm not mad. Like I understand, I think a bit where some people come from, like again, in regards to like, yeah, people maybe ganking the system a little bit. But at the same token, man, it is a long game with so much goddamn shit. And it's like sometimes not, you don't have to literally have every single fight and thing play out exactly, whatever. Especially because again, the game at times can be a little bit aggravating in terms of like the difficulty spikes in certain areas. If you did not level yourself up or get enough of the side quests, the plots or whatever. It can also be a little bit janky, and I think they've probably made a lot of fixes and repairs and stuff for over the years, of course. But yeah, it's
or what you should be doing, honestly, in a game like that is play by yourself and then play with friends.
yeah,
You should like, I don't know, most people that I've played with, when we're playing, all these like different multiplayer run throughs, I've already beaten the game 3 times or
yeah,
2.5 times. I'm almost done with my third playthrough. Like, and I know what happens. I know the story.
yeah,
I know
yep.
whatever.
hmm
I've watched content on it.
I'm
There's a
saying at
bunch of
least get
shit,
and that's fine too, good. But it's like like
and I don't.
it.
You have to know who you're playing with. If you're playing with people, they're like, no, I
That's
want to
that's
role
what it
play. No, I
is.
want to. I'm at, like,
Yeah,
okay, then don't say anything.
that's what it
Right
really is.
now, we're three of my friends are bringing this other dude through because he wants to finish the game. He just wants to power through it and
hmm
just get it done. And every time we come up on something, he'll just ask us questions, and we're like, well, yeah, don't do this, do this. It's going to be easier for you or better
Yeah,
for you in the long
yeah.
run. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, like do you care? Do you want like, do you just want to get through it? Do you want to experience it? Like, because again, I mean, it's just it's such a long game. Like it's like, if you really just want to get through it, like you gotta you gotta do certain things if you want to be able because again, like hell, the fight, and Raphael's, palace and everything, like that shit is unless you really did a lot of things to prep for it and have certain like builds and everything that fight's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard as shit for you, man. Like you gotta know what you're doing to a certain extent there, man. Like, and it's it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's probably about all we gotta say about this one. Again, just be honest, communicate your intentions and desires in regards to the games that you guys want to play. And it's okay. Not everybody's play styles are going to sync up. And here, OP just left. I don't think either one of them, like, I think OP was maybe being a bit of a dick, kind of like calling like how they were acting like, stupid or silly or weird or like strange. And it's like, well, it's not stupid, silly, weird, or strange. He's just trying to get immersed into the game. He wants to treat it, yeah, like a D&D. Then there's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with that. Just like for you, OP, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to treat it more like a video game and kind of just gank the system and take the most effective and efficient path, right? There's nothing wrong with that either. Neither one of you is necessarily wrong. I will admit, like I said before, I do agree that maybe Ranger I think took it a bit far in terms of like, yeah, there's only so much immersion you can really do in a video game because, like I said, oh, if you get party wiped, you're gonna just load a save game to come back and do it again. So, are you gonna just pretend like that didn't happen and then you're just gonna do the same thing over and over again, even though you keep dying? Like,
yeah.
so,
It's a
but
video game.
it's a video game. There's a difference, and so I think there is absolutely a thing with that, but play the game how you want to play it. If you want to play it in a more immersive way, there's still going to have to be some concessions you have to make, though, even if you want to play it like a role play type of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's cool. But you do have to still understand it is a video game first and foremost.
Yeah,
It's not going to function the
it's
same
hard.
as a
I
TTRPG.
have almost 450 hours in it.
Yeah,
You expecting me to not
that's fucking
like
insane.
I know where I'm going.
Yeah, it's hard once you've done something so often. It's like
Well,
because
and to be
again,
fair,
it's not
if
something
you're playing
brand new.
multiplayer, most of my time playing this game has been in Act One
Yeah,
because of how many
Act
games
one
I've
is the
started.
most fun. Like it is. Act one is
I
the
don't know. I
most
love
fun.
Act Three. There's
Act three
just
would
so
be
many
better
things
because
to
you just
touch.
don't have as much open to Baldur's Gate. Act three is great, but you also like did they fix the thing where like you might have a time limit sometimes, like where it's like
That's yeah. They've moved that a lot.
they have okay
Yeah.
because I that was one of the biggest issues I remember
Well,
back in the
there's
day.
technically time limits in every act. Well, at least in Act One. There's a time limit in Act. There's multiple time limits in Act One.
Yes, but they're much easier to not trigger immediately. Like it's much more like deliberate and clear when that happens. Whereas in Act Three, it's like you just can be wandering around and then boom, you just stumble upon it. Where it's clearly not like, that was not the intention. You were just exploring, and then all of a sudden, like, oh shit, now and not just that, but the time limit is like it is you might just lose something pretty big and important if you
Yeah,
don't get your
I'm
shit
pretty
going.
sure that's not the case anymore.
Okay, I haven't, like I said, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 in a long time now. It's been a minute, so I haven't seen all the new updates and things that they've
Oh yeah, I've
added.
been playing with like
And
mods and everything, and
yeah, no, I've heard a lot of crazy badass things with mods and shit. But I haven't seen like any of the new classes and stuff. That's why like I'm excited to maybe get back into it pretty soon. But yeah, that's I believe that's all we kind of gotta say about this one here, y'all. You just communicate like always. We got the next one of the day for you. Go ahead,
yeah.
Sam.
I have a story by Impressive Heron 7506. GM changes with the PCs saying without telling the player about the change. Aside from this story, I'd also like to genuinely ask, am I the a-hole? So I play on this Bronze Age GURPS campaign, which if you don't know what GURPS is, it's like basically just a standard role-playing set. Like it's not D&D, it's not Pathfinder, it's just a
It's just like
basically
a
a
yeah,
medieval, it's like a medieval-ish role-playing set.
yeah.
Um
Very generic, very just kind of like you can kind of just
I think it's literally
make any
generic.
kind of
It's generic universal role playing set is
yeah,
what is or
yeah.
system is what it stands for.
Literally. So it's like yeah, it's literally just like, if you just want mechanics, just game
You just
mechanics
buy a
that you can
box and
yeah.
it tells you.
Yeah, and you just have those game mechanics and you just apply that to whatever story that you want to
Yeah.
make with your friends.
The GM is on a whole is generally good at what he does, listens to player concerns, etc. But recently there's been a situation where we do not see eye to eye at all. I will try to lay out the story as simply as I can with as little bias as I'm able to. Another player intended to give some knife lessons. I'm assuming like some sort of class.
Maybe a
My
rogue or,
Yeah, my
bard
character
or
goes socializing to hopefully drum up some students,
fighter.
um, some teens who dream of becoming warriors or such. I crit fail the result and suggest that might mean my character maybe hits on a taken girl or something like that and gets in trouble for it. Makes sense because he's a womanizer and GM agrees. So far, so good. I will point out you said teens, which is a little gross.
That's what I was gonna say too.
I think
We
you
all
said
I think
students.
we all
Like if you're
clocked
in
it
college, like
because he
that'd be
did. He
cool.
literally said drum up some students, and then for some reason wanted to clarify teens,
Yeah,
which
whatever.
okay.
Um, The boyfriend of this girl comes up, acts tough, and demands money for the slight on his honor. That's so weird. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not really how that
understand.
goes.
No,
Yeah.
but whatever. My character points out that he is bested 3 warriors alone, unarmed. Kind of true, kind of false. And I wasn't going to pay, um, suggesting that he might have accidentally gotten the wrong person. GM calls for an intimidation check. Not quite what I was going for, as I was simply stating facts. As and I was
As they
speaking in a
are in a
court,
cordial
yeah,
manner.
in a
Yeah.
cordial manner. But it makes a certain amount of sense, and it didn't matter in the end, as I, of course, rolled another crit fail. The boyfriend gets more agitated and demands even more money. Fair enough, he's not intimidated at all. My character refuses to pay, and it escalates into a fist fight, in which, since I still try my best not to make things worse, I deliberately make sure people see him throw the first punch. My character beat him up a bit, and that is essentially the end of the scene. Why am I typing this story? It seems like a perfectly ordinary scene, right? Well, An in-game week later, my character's boss is pissed as hell. He claims my character called the girlfriend a lady of the night, and that I threatened to murder the boyfriend and everyone he loves. Boss insists I pay reparations or get the fuck out. Of course, figure that the boyfriend is simply telling lies to my boss, and so I tell him to ask other witnesses. It's a small village, so easy to do, and there were plenty of people around. He said he already did that, and they collaborate the boyfriend's story. All right, it's a small village, and we are essentially outsiders. Not too weird that they would side with their buddy, since my character has no interest in working with these people who so eagerly slander him, and since we were just about done there anyways, my character opts to get the fuck out. Then I, the player, find out that pretty much everything I just told you regarding the original scene is false. Apparently, my character did call the girlfriends a lady of the night, and he didn't say the stuff about how he had the wrong person. Instead, he threatened to kill him and everyone he loves. Apparently, my character forgot he did that as they happened. I will also point out that during the exchange, my character had no particular reason to be heated, and he was completely sober. I think the GM's putting words in the PC's mouth makes sense when their approach is vague. If I simply said, I intimidate him to back off, I feel the GM would be justified in having my character do wild threats on a crit fail. But when I explicitly go over the words he says, it seems weird to just change them based on the dice result, rather than the result determining what effect the words have. Even worse, I am not told that these words are changed, so I can't run with a new shift of the scene. If he said, you can't hold back with your measured response and instead lash out by threatening to murder him and everyone he loves, then I wouldn't have liked it, but at least I could have ran with it. But
Fair
instead,
enough.
my character raved like a madman, only to then moments later be sensible enough to let the boyfriend get the first blow. To make it even worse, he forgot to tell one of the other PCs present what was actually said, though he admits that it was an oversight on his part. So I will end with how I started by asking him, am I the asshole? Neither the GM nor the other players seem to see any particular issue with this, so I'm genuinely curious. So that was the story itself, but I liked the first comment. I honestly feel like you're underselling this in terms of how not okay I find it. I don't think it's okay for a DM to put changed words in a character's mouth like that at all, regardless of role. What if you're trying to play a character who finds it super offensive to call women a lady of the night? What if you're playing a character who's paranoid and therefore never makes threats in public like that? I'm making up more extreme examples, but my point here is that the words we choose help build the character, so the DM can suggest them, but not enforce. A crit fail doesn't change the words coming out of your mouth, it changes the delivery and how it's spoken. You could play around with having stumbled over words, especially when undercutting an intimidation, or language barriers causing some sort of insult, but that's really as far as you can go with it. Then to go further and do a secret retcon and have it impact the game without giving you or the other players who witnessed events a chance to know how to respond to it appropriately, and then say your character just doesn't get to remember his own actions to make that make sense is absolutely insane. The fact that your fellow players don't see this as an issue means they aren't thinking this through about how their character's personality is going to be altered in small ways over time anytime they get a crit fail, or potentially fail at all. Or even succeed. If the DM doesn't think your words would have worked, so just changes what you said to make it a success. I have had this happen, though my DM at least told me about it. This isn't just player agency. This just isn't player agency at all. Sorry for using so many words for such a simple answer.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
I would
it's
agree.
insane.
Like
If you're
it's
if I had a DM tell me, no, that's not what your character said, I'd be like,
yeah.
the fuck it isn't.
That is again, we were talking about this just before. Like GMs, you do not have control over a player's character. Okay? You don't. You have control over everything else. Everything else in the world. Literally. But you don't have control over a player's character. So if they roll a crit fail in some kind of social check, you cannot then say, okay, this is what you say or do. And like, no, no. They again, unless of course, from what OP even said, to be fair, I agree with that. I agree with what OP said. And like if the player was maybe vague and allowed the GM to be like, okay, what do I say or what happens? Like, I just want to try to intimidate them. I want to persuade them. I want to lie to them. I want to seduce them. Whatever. What happens? Unless the player gives you permission in that moment to depict and dictate what they do and happens, you do not get to just simply enforce it based off of the dice. You can choose how people, the world, responds to them based off of the dice roll. like he said, like OP said, like even this commenter said. If he's literally like hitting on her, like, yeah, you can't call like a lady of the night necessarily, but it'd be like, it's like, hey there, good looking. Like, what do you do? Like, like I said, I don't know exactly what OP said to her initially because I guess he did
Well, I
technically
don't think he
say
said anything. That's the
that.
that's
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
part.
saying. Like, he did technically, I guess, say, he was trying to, you know, interact with some people and he crit fails. And so he did say that he hits on a taken girl. So I guess he didn't technically describe how he does that. So I guess you could have maybe walked up and maybe been a little bit forward and maybe implied that it's like, oh hey, what's going on? Like maybe I could pay for a little bit of fun or good times for us. And maybe he meant it like legitimately, just like not in a sexual manner, but she received it as if wanting to proposition her for acts or whatever. Um, that works fine. That's fair. She could have received it that way. Where you're like, excuse me? Like, people do that all the time where they misconstrue certain words or somebody said something in a way that they didn't mean to say it, where they're just like, wait, you know what? That did not come out right. That was actually not what I meant or intended. Hang on. You know, like you could swing it that way, you know what I mean? But it's like to say that in regards to like your interaction with the boyfriend, OP says that he was very specific about the words that he used. So then you can't just say that, oh, he threatened to literally murder and kill him and his entire family because he didn't actually say that, though. And you can't just then say later on that that's what he said. Like, that's not how that works. Like, like I said, it absolutely, if the player doesn't specify or gives you permission or whatever, then yeah, it is up to you as a GM to figure that out. But if the player did actually say something, you can't just magically make it be like, yeah, no, you only thought that you said that in your crazed, in your crazed momentary break from reality where like you just became possessed by something else to say these things that you can't recall or remember. That's not
Yeah.
that's not how that works. Like it's again, you have control over everything else in this world. You don't have control over the character, over the player's characters unless they give you permission. That's just not how that works. All right. There is no if and or buts. The only time where maybe that is a thing, and even then, I would still say, like, just use the universe, just use the world, is when, a player's being an asshole and being shitty. And it's like, they have a horrible, terrible, fucked up character. You're like, okay, sure, consequences. The universe is now moving to destroy you for how destructive and toxic you are to the universe. So it's all collectively decided to obliterate you. Like, you still have to say, like, yeah, your character just drops dead. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. That's fine. You can have them have their autonomy, but they also live in this world that you create and mold and control. So use the universe. You could absolutely have gone the route where OP says, where it's like, yeah, the boyfriend was lying. You could have gone that route. If you wanted there to be like more ramifications or something, say like, yeah, the boyfriend was lying and he even got other people to lie for him or whatever. Because of like the crit fail, a lot of people in town maybe didn't really like him or thought that he was being like he was maybe um like he was harassing that girl. So they weren't really fans or cool with him, and they were probably gonna be cooler with the dude. So yeah, maybe they lied about it. You can go that route. It's a bit annoying for you to like bring it up a week later, right? For it to be like a thing where like, yeah, because he rolled shitty on a dice, now you're gonna cause like a lot of issues and problems for his life. Like I feel like that's a little annoying, where it's like his boss or whatever is gonna like, come on now. Like that just seems kind of petty. Like I don't really even know what the point of this was. Like that's another question to always ask, right? We've talked about this many times as well before. GMs, please ask yourself the questions before you pull any shit like this or do anything. Why are you doing it? What is the purpose? What is the intention? What is the objective or goal in initiating any kind of encounter, whether it be social, combat, explorative, whatever, exploration, whatever? Like you gotta be able to ask yourself and answer the question, why am I doing this? What is this meant to accomplish?
Yeah, it's like what what do you gain from doing that to your player? Like, if
Yeah,
your
what
player
what
is
is this?
genuinely doing something stupid and should have like some ramification, that's fine. But
Yeah,
if
that's
it's
one thing. But if you're gonna fuck him over because of a shitty dice roll, like not even just at the moment, because yeah, he dealt with the consequences of that. The consequence, the boyfriend showed up, they got into a fight. He handled that. But then now you're gonna say a week later in game, it's brought up again, and he's now like being faced with ramifications much higher now for no real reason, like because he rolled a crit fail. Like, come on, man. Like, that's not how that works. That again, that just feels petty and like you were trying to screw with him or felt like he didn't get enough of his comeuppance for again just rolling badly.
yeah, which again is like a not really a good reason to do that either.
No, no, it's not. Again, he didn't. That wasn't a decision. He didn't do that on purpose. So like again, I don't know. Maybe the Bard is a bit of a scummy guy. Maybe I don't know. He said he's a womanizer and stuff. I don't know. But either way. I think that's all we got to say about this one. Let's move on to the last one of the day we got for you here. This one is titled DM creates an entire band list of races, subclasses, and spells by the real Likala or Likala. Sorry, I'm not sure. I maybe butchered that. Um, So, right off the top, we have three, count them three, separate screenshots of multiple band lists. We have one for races and species, one for classes, and one for spells. Right off the bat, I would say probably one of the most egregious would be the races list because there's a lot of them that they were banned. Banned species and races. Bugbear, long-limbed trait and surprise attack ability. Aarakocra for flying speed. Triton for resistance to cold and fire and control over water. Yuan Ti Pureblood, magic resistance and immunity to poison. Any Azamar for healing hands and radiant soul and all the other benefits that they have. Tabaxi for their feline agility and climb speed. Furbog for their detect magic, disguise self, and speech of beast and leaf abilities. Goliath because of their powerful build and stones endurance. Kinkus because of their expert forgery and mimicry. Lizard folk for their natural armor, bite attack, and cunning artisan trait. Tritons, which we already did Triton, so I don't know why he did that twice. He must really not like Tritons for their control water, cold, and fire resistance. Githyanki, any Githyanki for their decent stats and martial prowess. He just said decent stats. He didn't even say crazies. He just said
Well,
decent
if they're playing
stats.
original 5e with the original races, yeah, some races had better stat bonuses than
Oh
others.
yeah, 100%. But again, like even so, some of them didn't. Githzerai for their Githzerai psionics. The Kalashtar for their mind link and resistance to psychic damage. As if that is a particularly prevalent damage type in any campaign that doesn't have
Yeah,
mind flayers or what the fuck ever else. Okay, Changelings for their shape change and deception abilities. Warforge for their immunity to poison, sleep, and disease. Self repair. They're technically not actually immune to poison. They are only resistant to poison. At least back in the day, they did not have immunity. Because they could still technically I don't think they could get the poison condition, but they could still technically be damaged by poison. I think they just had no, I think actually they could still get the poison condition because I think they just had advantage on it, maybe. Either way. Satyr for their magic resistance and charm resistance. Who gives a fuck about charm, bro? Minotaur, horns attack, and some resilience features. Centaur, charge attack and hooves. Nobody uses that. Loxodon, natural armor and powerful build. Sure. Leonin, temporarily boosted AC with their main.
yeah,
That's not a thing.
I believe it is.
Leonin, they get a bonus to their
I'll look it up
AC.
just for you.
I don't think I've ever. I know they get like natural weaponry with like claws and
Well,
fangs,
we also
but
don't know which version.
this all sound like if he's talking about the satyr, the magic resistance. This has to be 5.0. This has to be 2014.
Yeah, there's nothing in here but these. Well,
Yeah,
he might. I mean, technically, all these probably existed in other
because Leonin is
editions.
also there's also not a new Leonin. There's only one Leonin.
Yeah, there's only one.
Like they
Oh, look
don't
at
they
all
don't
the shit. They banned all the shifters. Shifters
yeah
are
yeah.
great. Great
Again,
class.
they don't. Yeah, he's literally banning shit for not even real reasons. The Leona don't get a boost to their AC with their main. What the hell are we talking about? Shifter, Beast Hide, yeah, Shifter, Longtooth, all the shifters. Tortle, natural armor and retractable claws. Who gives a shit about the claws, man? Tiefling, Winged, Tiefling Feral, Tiefling Mephistopheles. Who bans Tieflings? Of all things.
Yeah, so the only thing I could see in this that I've had a conversation about before is banning flying until level 5.
Yeah, no. Again, I understand
I
that
don't
too.
agree with
100%.
it.
Agreed,
I
same.
don't agree with it, but
Flying
like
is, however, undeniably incredibly busted at lower
but I
levels. It's
also
true.
like I don't know about
But
you, but I don't necessarily build characters because of their racial bonuses.
agreed. A lot of people do, though, to be fair. A lot of people
Yeah,
do.
but like I don't know, I prefer to like I come up with what class I want to play and then I look at like what would be cool to play
Yeah,
that I haven't played yet. Because like I don't want to just play the same race every time. Um
fair. I don't mind. Like, again, if I like certain races and certain abilities, or just even more so for me, it's got a lot to do with the role play aspect. Like, I love elves for
we
their
know you love
abilities.
elves, you
I do,
fucking
but I love elves because also they're long lived, and you can do a lot with that. Is the thing.
I
Like
don't know,
both.
I like dying early.
Yeah, I know you do. You have a weird traumatic experience where when you get too attached, so you like to do that thing where you no longer want to get attached, and you need them to dying and leave quickly for you.
The problem
Uh,
is I get attached anyway and then they die.
that's true too. And you're a masochist like that. But anywho, this is fucking ridiculous. And
Yeah.
that's only the races
Here, let me do
and
classes.
species. We haven't even talked about the class of spells. Let's talk about the classes.
I'll do classes.
Please.
So
And obviously,
here are the
right off the
banned
top,
classes.
obviously we have some of the top ones, or at least the top probably
So
ones.
I get some of the I get like the multi classes, but
Yes,
they're
yes.
banning Twilight Domain Cleric.
Yep. That's a huge one. A lot of
I
GMs.
mean, look,
A
Twilight
lot
Domain's
of
really
GMs.
good, but
It's one of the most
Why
powerful
ban it?
clerics.
I don't know.
It's one of the most powerful
It's only
clerics.
really good in the dark sometimes. Like I don't know. There's
No,
certain
no, not
things.
not just in the dark. There's many things.
Well,
Like
yeah,
again, the Twilight Domain cleric is 100% uncontestably one of the
I don't
most
get this
powerful
one.
clerics.
Divine Soul Sorcerer.
Yeah, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Divine Soul Sorcerer also was one of the best sorcerers, like legit, especially back in 5.0. It was the only real good one in my opinion. Like that was the only good sorcerer in my opinion, which is ridiculous. Like that's. But yeah, continue please.
Coffee Lock. I get this,
Yeah, Coffee Lock is fair. That's 100% fair because that's a bullshit, like gank of the system.
and I get it because it's abusing the
Yeah.
sorcerer point spell slot thing. I don't
No,
Hexblade.
I don't get Hexsplit at all.
We're gonna just ban the only class that makes melee warlock viable.
Yeah, like
Which
literally.
it sucks because they haven't added it to 5.5 yet.
Yeah, I know.
And so I refuse
Well,
to
because
play.
they haven't added to 5.5 because they also just gave a lot of the Hex Blades like abilities to every Warlock now. Like
I know.
you can just kind of take a lot of what Hexblade was and just put it
Hexblade
to
just makes it
almost
better though.
it
Lore
did.
Bard. Why? It's the first Bard. There's nothing overpowered about Lore Bard. Fuck you. Shepherd Druid. If you don't like summoning, I get it. Some
Sure.
DMs
Yeah.
just don't do
No,
summoning.
it's true.
Okay,
I can see
fine.
that.
Battlemaster Fighter?
Battlemaster Fighter. That's
Why?
fucking wild. That is wild.
Moon Druid.
I
So
get
okay,
it. Moon Druid is busted.
Here's
It's
the deal.
true.
It's oh, it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's that fucking
It's
busted.
only it's only busted at higher levels though. Like
Yeah,
that's just the
sure.
reality. Like
Yeah, that's fine. Sun Soul Monk.
why?
Sun Soul Monk isn't even good.
No.
Monk's not even that great normally.
I mean, like Monk is pretty awesome if you have the right stuff for it. But that
Yeah, but
Sun
it's
Soul,
incredibly reliant. Sun Soul Monk is not good.
he,
Okay,
he 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 justifies it by saying because they have range attack capabilities for a traditional melee focused class. That's the reason he gives. And again, Battle Master Fighter, the reason he gives
God
is
forbid you want to have
superior
some.
combat maneuvers because the
Dude,
Battle Master has combat
God
maneuvers.
forbid you want some fucking like difference in your play.
Yeah, the
I just
variety, ability to
yeah,
actually have
variety.
ranged attacks. Yeah,
Gloomstalker.
this is a,
Gloomstalker's kind of
this
busted,
this is
but
another one. This is another one that a lot of people want to ban. But it's
look,
the
I don't.
same. It's the same exact thing as Twilight Domain Cleric, though. It's just a powerful class. Ranger does not have many powerful
Yeah,
classes.
God forbid
Okay,
you're strong.
as a
Sorlock.
ranger, come on now.
So Sorlock, it's another sorcerer warlock thing. Whatever. I don't really care that much.
Doesn't matter.
Conquest Paladin.
That doesn't make any goddamn
Strong crowd
sense.
control and fear effects. Okay.
Who cares?
Oath of the Ancients Paladin. Resilient tank with anti-magic aura. Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Oath of the Ancients is
No,
powerful
not.
too, but it's
There's
like, you know,
no. You're banning stuff. It's just a normal class. Like these
yeah,
aren't even
it's
like
just
the
normal
best
classes. No, yeah,
classes.
yeah, it's just normal classics. It's just normal classes.
Um, Zealot Barbarian.
Near immortal tanking capabilities. Again, with the right
But what's the?
build and
I'm sorry,
party,
but like
sure,
you're
but it's only
banning.
at high levels. He's only
Yeah,
banning things that are like at high
you could kill
levels.
them at level 4. It wouldn't matter. Eldritch Knight Fighter. Don't understand this. Eldritch Knights aren't even good in 5e.
I mean, it's okay. It's
They're
not the worst.
fine, but they're
They're
not.
not they're not amazing. They're not crazy.
No,
No.
Assassin Rogue.
Same thing.
Also,
Same thing. Doesn't make
I
any
mean,
sense.
we
High
went
burst
over.
damage potential only in very
Okay,
specific situations and circumstances. Like it's not there's nothing busted about it.
Arcane Trickster.
That's literally like that's two of just the baseline like original
What are you supposed to play? Just Thief
player's
and
handbook.
Scout?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right, play Scout Rogue. That's what I'm
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Drake Warden
You
Ranger
got me fucked
summons
up. You
and
got me
bonds with a Dragonlink companion.
fucked up. Drake Warden Ranger. Wow.
That's what you're banning?
Abjuration
Yeah,
Wizard.
Abjuration Wizard is wild. Exceptional defenses against spell damage. No, it's not.
No, it's not exceptional. It's
Evil.
okay. To be fair, Abjuration is much better than a lot of people give it credit for, in my opinion, from what
Oh,
I've seen and what I've done.
dude, he banned the least he banned the least offensive barbarian as well. Okay, he bans Evocation Wizard for high damage output.
The
He
evocation.
does normal okay.
He can do increased damage to certain spells, but not a lot, especially in
Okay.
the old version. It was
Okay,
not
okay.
great.
Shadow Sorcerer for strong survivability and crowd control. Go fuck yourself.
When at level
Go fuck
17,
yourself.
which is applicable to every class at
Also,
that
also
point.
sorcerers do not excel at crowd control. Fuck you.
Like, well, I mean,
Um,
crowd control in terms of just AoE damage, I guess.
that's
If you
not
want to go
crowd
with that.
control.
Yeah, I know, but hey, you know.
Sorcerers are not utility casters, just as a friendly reminder. Ancestral Guardian Barbarian protects allies by redirecting damage.
God forbid. God forbid.
Divination Wizard. Um,
Okay, sure, sure.
no, not okay.
Divination. No, no,
Sure,
no, 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 no.
they're
We get at
not
least
that good.
we get divination because of their reroll thing, the dice thing. That's what everybody hates. Their ability to their portent dice. Like
Just let's keep it going. Don't worry.
that's what everybody hates,
Uh,
you know. But again,
Oathbreaker Paladin.
oh God, Jesus Christ,
We're not even gonna,
swashbuckler
yeah,
rogue.
Swashbuckler Rogue.
Yeah, so
Okay.
every rogue, just
Every
basically
rogue.
every rogue.
We're gonna get rid of every rogue.
Yeah, every
We're
rogue.
also getting rid of Tempest Cleric.
Oh wow.
Which, to be fair, before Twilight Domain Cleric, Tempest was one of the better
Yeah,
ones.
you know,
I'm
I mean,
surprised you aren't banning
Tempest, it
War
still
Domain
is.
Cleric as well.
Tempest is still one of the
Um,
best in terms of like damage dealing. It can deal a
hey,
shit ton of
hey,
damage
Adam,
with lightning and thunder.
we're banning both bards, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Valor Bard's off the table as well, even though
Yep.
Valor Bard also not very good.
Yeah.
Um, Blade Singer Wizard,
Hey, gotta get my boy in here. Gotta get my boy in here. You know what I mean?
Celestial Warlock.
Just anything with healing, Sammy. Just
We're
anything,
banning Celestial
anything that gives
Warlock.
other healing capabilities to anything other than the cleric is a bad
God
idea.
forbid you don't
Okay?
want to be a healer but not play cleric.
Yeah, right? No, 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 no. You
God
have to, if you want to be a
forbid.
healer, you can only play cleric. You can't be
God
anything else.
forbid we don't
No.
want a non-cleric based
Nope.
healer on the
Mm-mm.
team.
Nope.
I'm surprised you didn't ban what's my favorite druid?
Dreams.
Yeah.
Circle
Might
of
as well
Dreams,
ban
Druid.
Circle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Circle of Dreams is not here.
Yeah, it's strange.
Necromancer Wizard.
You're gonna get rid of one of the most iconic wizard types.
You're banning Necromancer Wizard
Controls undead and deals necrotic damage.
with necrotic magic.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a terrible list. First of all, there should be no banned classes.
And let's just straight up like we don't even have to read through all the spells because suffice it to say, basically almost every single spell on his banned list is like 6th level or higher.
except for Silvery Barbs.
Which again, a lot of gyms do ban that one.
I love Silvery Barbs.
So do I. I think Silvery Barbs is a great spell. You know, but I get it. You know, so here's the issue. Like anybody who bans Silvery Barbs is also type to ban like Lucky and shit. Anything that gives the players the ability to just roll again, to just re-roll.
It's a spell slot. You know how quickly you can just
And not
not
just
have any
that,
spells,
it also doesn't guarantee that you'll fail.
or that they'll fail. Like that's the other thing. Like giving someone disadvantage to give someone else advantage doesn't mean they're not gonna fucking hit you anyway. I and I played a
Like,
game recently where I was like, "Oh, silvery
yeah,
barbs," and he shot me in the head
yeah,
anyway.
still succeeded. You got the advantage for whatever, which is nice because you could probably always use it. But it's not even it takes a spell slot and your reaction to do it. You can do it once per round. That's it. I hate people who are so freaking like just deep in the hole. Yeah, no rerolls. No, let's roll. No, no, you're rolling too much. It's a dice game, bro. Holy shit. Goddamn. Get over it.
Okay, I love this because it's like we're banning Wish, we're banning True
Yep.
Polymorph, we're
Yep.
banning Simulacrum, Power Word Kill,
Invulnerability. Feeble mind.
Meteor Swarm,
Time
Time
stop.
Stop,
Again, it's
Force
literally
Cage,
every spell of 6th level
Imprisonment,
or higher.
Dominate, Monster, Invulnerability, Shape Change, Mortal Cannon's Magnificent Mansion. Why ban the Mansion? What's wrong with the Mansion?
It just
Teleport,
makes travel too
Clone.
easy. Travel
It's
too
not
easy.
trap. I mean, guess you're at the high level. You should be able to do that.
You
Clear Illness,
should be
Plane
able to do
Shift,
all
Foresight,
of this. You're
Create.
high level.
I'm intrigued as to what
What are
certain
we doing?
strategies you would
He
have to
literally
do for the delayed blast fireball to be banned because it says when combined with certain strategies. So what does that mean? Like putting a little bead in a mail and mailing it to you somebody? Sunburst, disintegrate, magic jar, powered stun, auto irresistible dance. I feel like one of these things is not like the other. Prismatic spray, anti magic field, regenerate can be very potent in the right circumstances. I You've taken away like most of the ninth
no
level
no no
spells.
literally almost all of them. You might as well just say no ninth level spells and
So
barely any eighth level spells. Like
it's just like
again, everything here is literally like 6 and higher. Like
I
it's
guess
just
I'm playing
like
a Circle of Dreams
he
dude and
just
picking up
doesn't want to
tidal
play.
wave.
He doesn't want to play a high level campaign. That's it. That's all it is. That's all that this fucking is. You literally could have just got rid of all of this shit, all of this stupidity and mental degradation, and literally just said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna play past like level 7." Okay, all right, sure. If you don't want to play those games, that's fine. If you don't want to play past level 7, that's fine. I'm not gonna play in those games though. Fuck that.
I
But
mean, I don't want to play in a game where I can't pick four of the six to 5 to 6 classes offered to me in terms of rogue. So I
yeah,
could only play thief or scout or
yep.
mastermind. Like again, I also want to point out what ranger am I supposed what am I supposed to play? I guess Monster Slayer or
Yeah, Monster yeah, Slayer works.
Fey Warden or whatever the fuck it
Freaking
is.
which one's the one that has Colossus Slayer or whatever? Um
Monster
Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah, that's Hunter. You can play Monster Slayer or Hunter or Fae, whatever, or Horizon Walker, Planeswalker, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I
Horizon
think yeah,
Walker.
Horizon Walker, or Planeswalker, whatever the hell it's called. Like, those are still decent. Like, it's just this is crazy work, bro. Like that, this is goddamn crazy work. Like, oh my Lord. Luckily, the OP actually literally has the text below. He's like, yo, I'm happy for Storytime YouTubers to narrate this. This has no personal ties to me and won't bring me to the attention of people I'd rather avoid. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Or sister, either one. Uh, Yeah, not so much a horror story as it is a what the F moment, but my current group talked me into posting this. So this happened almost a year ago. I was scrolling Roll20 for a D&D campaign to join that was happening at a reasonable time, and not the ass crack of dawn or the dead of night. Yay, time zones. I came across a campaign by a user whose name I will not mention because I don't want them to getting picked on, with a pretty cool plot hook. The party grew up in an orphanage and are returning to face it, or turning to it to face some of their old memories and traumas, excuse me. Great hook, awesome horror vibes, very Rule of Rose. Horror game by Atlas, released in 2006. I'm already interested, but as I'm scrolling down for more details, I see the words banned races and species. Well, I think to myself, that's a little odd, but I guess it's understandable. Not every race is going to fit into a homebrew campaign. Refer to image 1. Okay, so it looks like this guy wants to mostly keep the races to the player's handbook. Some weird choices, though, like saying a kinku is somehow bad because of their mimicry when that's literally how they communicate with each other, is a choice. Also, I checked. Leonins don't get an AC boost from their main. Thank you! Thank you! Their claws do give a boost to their strength and mod, though. Thank you! What is this nigga talking about, bro? What is this nigga talking about? Like, oh my god. It doesn't end there, though. I shrugged, giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. Why? How could you do that with this shit? And scrolled down more, only to find a list titled Banned Classes. See image 2. This is where that benefit ended, and I started scratching my head. Yeah. Sorelock slash Coffeelock and Hexblade. Sure. What do you mean, and Hexblade, OP? What are you talking about? Sure, I get it, but he's basically banned about 20% of the 100-something subclasses in D&D. Roughly, not a math person. Mind you, he hadn't noted down anything about artificers or blood hunters, but most of these are in the player's handbook or Xanathars, with the rest being from Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide or Tasha's, or the Dungeon Master's Guide for Oathbreaker Paladin. And it's just feeling weirdly specific, especially when you can essentially boil his reasons down to, duh, too much damage, duh, too much CC. Then we have the banned spells list. See image 3. I showed this to my current GM, and even he was scratching his head. In his experience, most of these spells aren't typical ones a player takes anyways, save for about a handful. Silvery Barbs and Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion. Given the setting, that's understandable. But to my immediate recollection, most of these are 6th level spells, and if you're accessing super powerful spells like those, then you're at least around level 11 in Bard, Sorcerer, or Wizard, and are probably expecting to fight the Abrahamic God at the climax of the campaign. Some of these spells are more like random bullshit the GM can pull for the sake of creating tension during a scene. Needless to say, I didn't end up throwing my name in the hat for this campaign, and I haven't seen the dude on Roll20 since. I'm sure he got his ass laughed off there, bro, with that post.
I love this. Hey DM, can I play a human fighter champion? Seems a bit exotic, but I'll allow it.
My current group encouraged me to post screenshots here for others to enjoy, I guess. But I'm mostly putting this here for the sake of discussion, which I hope is allowed. I don't know. It was just weird to see, and everyone I've spoken about it with agrees that it's strange. What do you guys think? In post. Yeah, strange is an understatement, OP. This shit is straight up mentally challenged, okay? I'm sorry to say it, but it literally is, okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really funny. He bans Zealot. There's a comment. He bans Zealot Barbarian for being an immortal tank. It only gets to level 14.
That's
It's the
insane.
totem barbarian that can get the closest to being invincible in an actual game. This guy is wrong in addition to being overzealous.
Literally. Like that's what I'm talking about. What are we like? He's everything he is banning, he's only banning when it gets to literally like level 14 or higher. Like that's it.
Also, I wouldn't even have an issue if someone said, "Okay, I want you all to be elves because I've written a story for that." That would be fine and could be interesting. Like, yeah, it's if you want to ban certain, like if you're trying to
Create a narrative, you
here's the
know?
deal, right? I don't have a problem with you being like, "Hey, we're playing this game. We're playing Curse of Strahd, and you don't want exotic races." You don't. It's just like, yeah, I kind of want this to be more typical fantasy. I don't want a Thrycreen or a Kenku or an Eric Cochran or a Leonin or or the hippo guy, whatever they're the GIF.
Yeah, the
Like,
GIF.
say you don't want that. You don't want a fucking Gith
Or a
Zerai showing up.
plasmoid, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you don't, and I get that. You know what? I 100% get that. But that's it. The rest of this is complete bullshit. Um, yeah, I guess if someone wants to show up to the table and they're like, "Well, I'm playing a UNT Zealot Barbarian or yeah, Zealot Barbarian so that I'm resistant to all of this stuff, all the physical stuff, and I'm resistant to spells, and I can't die." Yeah, I get it. I do. I get it. I understand being like, really? Like that's why you're doing it. You're doing it just to be
Sure, sure.
problematic to me.
I can see that too if it's
But
all
like,
about just the
why the fuck do
mechanics
you
alone.
care if a guy shows up with a turtle fucking Sun Soul Monk? And they're like, well, I want 17 AC because Monk at early levels doesn't start with a super high AC, and they're not
And also,
particularly tanky.
Ninja Turtle. Ninja Turtle, bro.
And like leave me alone. What's 2 more points of AC now? When we level up more than that, my stats are gonna eclipse that anyway. So
Especially again at high levels.
it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with being pretty decent early on. I'm sorry,
No.
but like I hate the DMs that are like, you won't get plate mail until 10th level
Yeah,
as a cleric. It's like,
you gotta suffer. You gotta suffer through low level and earn all of your shit and earn all of your powerful whatever the fuck. Blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, shut up. It's a literal hero fantasy game. That is the prime intention. You can make evil characters or whatever the hell too, but it's predominantly to be a heroic game. Like we just said this. D&D 5th edition is heavily designed so that you can be superheroes, basically. You're very powerful. You're not supposed to be easy to kill. Stop doing that. Play something else. Play Call of Cthulhu if you want
yeah,
to kill your players easily. All right? Play
yeah, fuck it, play it.
like Monster of the Week.
Yeah,
Play
play a
you
Stone
know,
Age campaign.
yeah, play anything but by like powered by the apocalypse, you know? It's like
Yeah, just
you're supposed to be much less superhero-esque, okay? It's
yeah,
literally it's a fantasy game.
yeah.
That's again, play Baldur's Gate 3 if you want to die more easily. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? What is this? This is a goddamn insult to anyone like who? Like what game are you even trying to play, bro? What are you trying to play? God damn, I swear. Play the GURPS thing that we were talking about earlier. Play the GURPS campaign we were talking about. What the
Yeah,
F, bro? Holy shit, dude.
yeah. But
Insane.
yeah,
Insane in the membrane, dude. Again, cannot believe people are like this. Oh my lord. Acolytes, apprentices, if you take away nothing else, please don't be like this guy, all right? This is Craig, all right? This is an absolute Greg from the GameStop, okay, kind of mentality here. Don't be Craig, all right? Nobody likes a Craig, okay? Sorry to say. For all you Craigs out there, I'm sorry. You know, it might not be your fault. Your parents, kind of ruined your life, set you up for failure. But if you're named Craig, I'm sorry. Also, a lot of Craigs have just set a really bad precedence for you, you know. So any good Craigs out there, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. But everybody hates a Craig, okay? Nobody likes Craig. Craig sucks.
well, that's not when we were getting real blanket there.
But yeah, but that's why I also apologize too. But it's true. It's like Keith. Nobody likes a Keith. You know what I mean? Keiths always kind of suck. You know what I mean?
Well,
Except for the ones that don't. You know, I'm sure. Again, to be fair, there's exceptions to every rule. You know, like, but it's pretty universally accepted and acknowledged that Craig and Keith just suck tripping ball sack. Like they just.
okay.
Craig and Keith, you guys suck dick, my friend, and not well in the bad way, where you just feel really disappointed and like it was a mutually bad decision for both of you guys, where you're just like sitting there afterwards and you're like, well, I could have gone and gotten like a smoothie or something. That was just awful. That was just awful. Well, with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Arcane Archive. You know, our Cautionary Chronicles here for you today. If you guys stuck with us this long, we appreciate you immensely. That's all we have for you today. If you like what we do here, you know, like and comment down below, you know, down there, wherever it might be where I'm currently positioned.
Yeah,
Uh,
comment what spells you want to ban.
yeah,
But
what
give like,
classes you
but
think deserve to
but
be
like, I
banned?
think I think it should be like spells you want to ban for like just absolutely abhorrent reasons.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I want to
100%.
ban Healing Word because I don't like that my friends can keep themselves from dying with a bonus action.
Yeah, and from a
Um,
distance too. At top of
yeah,
that,
yeah,
that's just way too powerful. That's way too
yeah.
busted.
I like that.
Like I like to be able to throw my Demogorgon at them with knowing that I can just, not have to worry about that because that just
Yeah,
seems that's unfair. That's unfair to my Demogorgon, honestly.
yeah. Like I
Like,
want to ban Magic Stone because it's too good.
yeah, no, honestly, you know what? I'd like to ban True Strike, old True Strike specifically. That is way too busted. That no,
Yeah,
you get advantage on your next attack
yeah, yeah.
and you're concentrating on it. Oh my God.
I know people keep telling me that the probability of
You
taking
get
two attacks would be
advantage,
better,
Sam.
but I
You get
don't see
advantage,
it.
Sam. Like you
Yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah,
gave
yeah,
away
yeah.
your ability to attack twice for 2 rounds to get
To have
advantage, Sam.
advantage.
That's insane. That's crazy. I
So
can't. No,
broken.
not allowed. Not allowed. Absolutely not. That's
What's that?
that's
What's that?
no.
What's that one spell? It's the only like melee cantrip, the lightning one.
Oh, shocking grasp.
Yeah, I want to ban that because I don't like melee cantrips.
There's a lot of melee cantrips, but shocking grasp is definitely the best.
Well,
Shocking grasp is the best.
there aren't many anymore. Like
No, there are a
actual
lot. They still
melee.
have, they still have green flame blade.
No,
They
no,
got
no, no, no.
booming
Like ones
blade.
that don't require weapons.
Ah,
Like just where the cantrip itself.
well, technically they actually made chill touch a melee.
But it
Uh,
has a range of 60 feet.
No, no, chill touch doesn't anymore. It's touch now.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, they
No, no,
changed
no, no,
it.
no, 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 no,
It's
no,
an
no,
actual,
no,
it's
no,
actual
no, no,
touch
no,
now.
no, 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 no.
It wasn't, it's no longer like a spectral hand shoots out.
No,
It's
no,
literally
no.
you touch them now. And it's a chill touch. It's literally a touch now.
What the
It does more damage though. They increase the damage. So it's like it's a necrotic touch. Like you're just like, ah, icky. You know? But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Feel free to let us know down below what all your amazing band ideas and things are. And we'll again subscribe and share the channel. And be sure to catch you all next time when we dive back down into the archive. Oh goodness. I swear to God, the more we read of these, it's just going by. See ya, everybody!